in Reza Aslan's book is where he says that Jesus Jesus's claims, let's just put it that way, were like the most idolatrous thing maybe in like 6,000 years of history, because it wasn't just like an object or whatever. It was him being like, I
Yeah.
am
No,
the way,
100%.
the truth, and the light. Yeah.
100%. And like, you can cast that stone. We're live now, so hi everyone. You can
Hello.
cast that stone at a lot of prophets as well, right? Like you can say,
Absolutely.
like, were you talking to anyone, or are you kind of a fucking charlatan?
I
But
mean,
at least those prophets were like,
Jeremiah and Isaiah in particular,
God.
like, yeah, I have some issues with those dudes.
Isaiah, man, okay. Look, there's a book coming out for everyone.
Yeah.
There's a book coming out that I wrote for everyone if they want to know what we're talking about. But I have some opinions on Isaiah.
Excellent.
Friends, this is not a. I mean, okay,
This is Bible
it is,
chat with John
I mean,
and
it kind
Charles.
of is. Like, if you're looking for a Jew and a Satanist chat theology,
Yep.
while pretending to talk about D&D monsters, you've hit the right place, baby. This is Wandering Monster, the monster manual of podcasts that's secretly about theology, I guess. My name is John Baltusberger.
I am Charles R. Bernard.
Charles, I have to say I have one regret.
What's that? Only one?
Yes, only one from anything. And it's the fact that our new format doesn't allow me to make a bad joke and then scream, "Roll initiative!" every week.
That's true.
I do miss that. Audience, why don't you go ahead and grab your D20 and roll initiative? Unfortunately, you do have disadvantage because this is a surprise attack. So roll it twice and take the lower number.
That's right.
Man, I work for a tech company, and we've recently made a decision that I stand by. Like, I think we made the right decision for our future, kind of in an attempt to combat piracy, actually.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is it's a change in not only process but product. Which means that quite suddenly we have to tell clients, analysts, and managers, like, hey, the way we did things we're no longer doing. And it's really funny because in my day-to-day life with madnessheart.press, a lot of people call me boss. I put air quotes around it, but I am the owner of madnessheart.press. Like, I am a
I
lot
refer
of
to you
people's
as boss often. Yeah.
Reed calls me boss. Lisa calls me boss. Although, let's be honest, Lisa's the boss.
Nobody fucks with Lisa. Full stop.
Yeah, which is what makes her such a goddamn great editor.
Exactly.
Like, Desiree doesn't call me. Well, Desiree sometimes calls me boss, but that's a different thing entirely.
All I get called is Hoss.
I have a boss hog. So,
I love it.
But like at the job that pays the bills, it allows me to
dreaded day
continue
job. Yeah.
Press. I'm kind of the lowest head on the totem pole.
Oh, me too.
I mean, I am like, so I am what's generally referred to as an individual contributor. Which means that while technically I have people I answer to that are supervising me, they're only supervising me in the terms of like, does anyone know what John's doing? You're okay. You over there, you're in charge of knowing what John's doing. Which is great for me because like I do my job, I do it well, I do it efficiently, and like no one bothers me.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like I'm not above anyone at work. And so like someone will tell me about this change in process and product, because I'm like the key person to like move that from point A to point B. But no
Mhm.
one told anyone at point A, and no one told anyone at point B. So they're like, John, can you produce this for us? No.
Wow. That
Have a,
sounds like they're asking you to like create a process, and that's a job in
I
and of
mean,
itself.
they do. Like I am actively involved in like building products and that sort of thing for this company, but
Mhm.
um like this particular thing is such a shakeup, such a change from status quo that it's built some pain points. And you know what it is? It's pain points in AI, it's pain points in our CMS, which is a not that fancy term for WordPress. um of the back end of WordPress, essentially, the
Mhm,
part that
mhm.
I'm involved in. So I say all of this to say, like, I am struggling with the phantasm of um of the willpower of WordPress and Slack
Mm.
and all of these automation DevOps tools. Friends, if you couldn't tell from that convoluted intro, then surely you can tell by looking at the fucking overlay that the monster of the day is Ghosts in the Machine.
Correct. And as I selected this one, I
Mhm.
would be more than happy to go first.
I just want to point out, because again, Charles can't see any of this.
Mhm.
Underneath Charles is the Major, my personal favorite ghost in a shell. When
Oh man, so good. I had that in whole series, gobbled it down. Even
Mhm.
standalone
I
complex, and
don't
I,
like
I go ahead.
people ask me
Sorry.
if I like anime. It's like, oh, I watch like Cowboy Bebop, Samurai
Right.
Champloo,
Right.
Hellsing. I never think of Ghost in the Shell because it's like its own level of art
It
to
is,
me.
yeah. And it's like a very complicated and awesome world, and one that
Mhm.
asks a lot of questions that like I are the most enjoyable questions for me to gnaw on. Like
Including police
AI is
brutality.
yeah. AI is something that like I have a different take on than a lot of people. It seems like the conventional wisdom, even with very smart people, is to be like scared shitless of it. I think
Mhm.
would be the technical term. I've heard, some great thinkers come out and be like, it's going to be the damnation of mankind. And like, I don't feel that way. I feel
Mhm.
like AI could be a super benevolent companion to human beings if done right. Like, it could be, it will be exactly what we make it. You can program it to be an asshole. You can program it to be compassionate,
Mhm.
and then let it learn for itself in that direction. And I was actually having a conversation with my dad about this the other day, and he was like, "Well, what if an AI takes over and it says like, for the greater good, X million people have to die, and it just like nukes a city?" And I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, if we were in a situation where it was like literally like it's 10 million people or the entire human race, like." I'm enough of a humanitarian that like I'd have to think about that, I'd prefer it be random rather than like one city. But in the end, like I think a utilitarian calculation like that isn't as unthinkable as some people think it is. Like we make it every day in one way or another. Like,
I think
we
you've been
use
reading
fossil
too much World
fuels.
War Z.
Maybe, I don't know. But all that is to say, today we're talking, at least I'm talking less about a ghost in the shell in terms of a intelligent machine than a literal ghost in the shell. So
Mhm.
yeah, we're talking about haunted machinery. And your boy Charles is very into a certain fellow named Stephen King, as everyone knows.
Mhm.
And this is a recurring theme in King. Like, Christine is about a haunted car. There's the one I'm going to talk about today. I'll keep that under wraps for just a second. There's the monorail in the Dark Tower, Blaine, the monorail, who's like that one's actually an AI. He's kind of an evil AI, but there's like a slightly demony flavor to him too. So then, it's just over and over and over. But today I want to talk about a short story that has inspired a number of truly, truly terrible films. That short story is called The Mangler. And I
Mhm.
will actually only be talking about the story because the adaptations are like many. and they vary in quality and from what year they're made, etc. And they're actually a lot of fun. Like I'd advise you to watch one of them. I think the one that I've seen of the actual film adaptations, it was very late at night, and I was kind of half watching it, and I was just thinking like, this is a lot dumber than the story was. So the story takes place in a commercial laundromat. Now, this is not like a coin-op place where you go and like do your laundry uh, in a machine, et cetera, et cetera. This is a place that does like sheets for hospitals and uniforms for like large hotels, and they like process huge amounts of laundry, so they use machinery to do it. And the machinery involves like a giant washing machine where they do it, and then a big like kind of like a conveyor belt operated like dryer presser folder thing that spits out the sheets at the end all like perfect, right? And that thing is this ancient piece of machinery that's nicknamed the Mangler at this factory because people keep like losing limbs and fingers and shit to it. And then the inspector will come in and like be like, I don't understand it. The safety bar works. The thing, every time I flick it, it does what it's supposed to do. So it's like the machine has a mind of its own and seems like it has a taste for human flesh. Now, all of that is before a very specific combination of events happen.
Can I
Which,
interrupt?
yes, please.
Is this the beans? Oh my god. So many kisses. Is this the same factory featured in Doug Ford's The Reattachment?
I
Because
don't
I feel
know.
like
You'd have
there's
to
a
ask Ben
Mangler in
Ford.
that.
There might be. In which case, like the king mythos lives on, and that's wonderful. So this thing. All right. So let's talk about machinery and magic, which
Okay.
is a topic near and dear, of course, to Warhammer fans. But Stephen King plays with this in an interesting way in this story. So the Mangler may be like malevolent, right?
Right.
But it gets super powered when a specific combination of accidental occurrences imbue it with essentially like grimoire magic, demonic life. And it's interesting because it's an example of a trend that was popular right up until like I'd say the 2000s, which was like if you were featured like magic or demonic possession or something in a book, it would help with the authenticity if you looked into like a real tradition like voodoo or Santeria or Palomayombo or any of these.
Hold on. I need to ask Sukunst? I don't know. I don't know how to say your name. Who looks like Larry Gilbert?
Is that me?
I don't know who
I don't know who
who
Larry
Larry
Gilbert
is. I'm Googling. Larry Gilbert.
Oh no. This is gonna be brutal, whoever it is.
It's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
I don't know who you think. Well, a lot of pictures came up. I don't see Charles in any of these. I don't know. I really don't know. You know what? No.
Well, the important thing is, for all your Larry Gilbert related questions, you should ask our public relations manager at Joe Rogan on Twitter, and he'll answer your questions.
I feel like we should have we should tell people that Larry Gilbert is our HR manager now.
Yeah, whoever the fuck he is.
Mhm.
So in the case of this story by Stephen King, the Mangler gets like a bat dropped in it, and some like I think it was like grave dirt that somehow made it in. And my favorite is that old chestnut. One of the workers who gets like slightly injured and drips blood into the machine is, of course, a virgin. And so the blood of a virgin, blah, 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 it all combines. And what was kind of a cranky machine with a taste for human meat literally like unshackles itself from the ground and like goes prowling. And after eating the two heroes who were trying to like, defeat it or whatever, the last scene of the story, which is amazing, is just like you kind of hear the Mangler like make it to the city and like shit starts to burn and it's like, oh god, what have we unleashed? And like that's the end. And I love that kind of ending.
Oh, I do too. I adore it.
Open-ended. I've actually, ever since I was a kid, I've called it a Body Snatchers ending because the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers was so good, and it fucked me up when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And so anytime something like that happened, me and my sister would refer to it as a Body Snatchers ending.
I'm angry now because I can't tell you about certain films and how they have body snatcher ending because they're spoilies. And that kind of ending works best when they're not spoiled.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, you can't know that's going to be unresolved. You have to just
even
like go
knowing
in
there's
there.
a twist. Yeah. Even knowing there's a twist is like too much for a lot of stuff. But yeah. The Mangler is an interesting story because it plays on, like, I saw an interesting article on Book Riot the like day before yesterday, I think, that was called like where I can't remember the exact title of it. It was something about magical systems, like how magical systems work. And it reviewed in literature, like, what is the source of magic in this reality? Is it, words, which is like a common tradition in both Western esotericism, Arab esotericism, and like other cultures. There are words with special power or significance. And if you learn them, that's like all you need to have the magic, there's magic drawn from the gods, like where you make an offering or you make a deal or whatever, and a god or a demon or something grants you the power. So like it's not your power, it comes from. And the Mangler is interesting in that it draws on sort of like the idea of sympathetic magic as something where the right combination of physical elements can produce like a synergistic effect that's magical. And that's interesting to me because I've actually practiced that type of traditional ceremonial magic where ingredients are very important. And it's one that appeals to me. It's also one that you'll find in a lot of traditions like Santeria or Voodoo or anything like that. There's I guess what you could call like concocted spells, the old like Eye of Newt and this of that, which is not how most Western esoteric magical systems work. But anyway, the Mangler, it's great, and it's a machine that is not self-aware through AI, but is rather, I forget, they named the demon that inhabits it, and it's just some demon from demonology. But
Jordo.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
it's Jordo. Obviously, come
Biff.
on.
Yeah,
Biff.
Biff.
I hate you, Biff.
It's spelled BIPH though.
Oh, fuck you, Biff. Fuck you. So, that leaves me with everything else.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to talk about the Mechanicum.
Hey, I was hoping you would shut the fuck up. That's not true. I was actually hoping you would talk a bunch because I'm real tired.
Yeah, that made me laugh. That was good. Thank you. That was good. I'm drinking, by the way, the this like elderflower tonic water.
Oh, I've had that stuff. It's real good.
It is damn good. I'm kind of developing a habit for this stuff.
It's delicious. Am drinking the devil's dark liquor cum.
Ooh.
Like when it's supposed, like, you want to make it taste good, it's pineapple.
Mm-hmm.
This is the opposite of that.
Asparagus or onions. Yeah. Delicious.
Yeah, this is the devil's asparagus pea. Speaking of which, you know what food I love?
What's that?
I love beets.
I do too.
I love beets.
I like them.
You know what I hate?
What's that?
I hate pooping after I've eaten beets and forgetting I've eaten beets.
Yeah, it's time for a trip to the colonoscopist moment. Colonoscopist. Oof, that's a rough word. I've had that same moment of terror and then immediately think like, well, what did I eat? I like my beets. Actually, like I have an amazing recipe for beet pesto that's made with toasted pine nuts, and you blend it in a food processor, like roasted beet, toasted pine nut, Asiago cheese if you're not vegan, or you can do like a different protein if you are, and then you spread it on like bruschetta, like the toasted bread, and it's fucking amazing. So
if you want any of the Wandering Monster recipes, you can find them on
yeah,
our R&D chef's blog at larrygilbert.com.
that's right. No, I was going to direct people to Ghastly Gastronomy, because that's kind of fun. That's, you know, Madness Heart's collection of horror-based recipes and recipe-based horror, both of them at the same time.
Yep. Yeah. You know, it's funny because we published that last year. Because I'm a former chef, and I was like, yeah, if I'm going to run a publishing company, I should publish a cookbook.
Yeah, absolutely.
A24 is publishing their horror-themed cookbook now.
Oh, shit.
Godless wants to do one.
Nice.
And it's like...
Them I'm not going to accuse of stealing anything, because
hey, guys!
Drew's the best.
Actually, Drew has asked me to helm that project.
Okay, cool.
Like, yeah.
All right. That's lit.
He was talking. He was telling me about this project, which I don't think he's announced. So I'm not going to talk about much of it. But he was talking about it, and I was like, okay, well, I can't do any of this. It's like, wait, aren't you a former chef? Yeah. Well, we have this. Anyway, man. So I'm sticking to AI, kind of.
Okay, cool. That's a good left brain, right brain division here.
Yes, because I am extremely right brain. Here's the thing, Charles, you said this earlier. AI will be what we program it to be, and that's for the most part exactly right. Obviously, philosophers and technologists kind of argue about this point a lot. I have the benefit or the or the handicap of coming from the school of Byron Reese, who's an optimist, who believes that AI will be a benefit for humanity and be very good.
What's the name of the guy who wrote Superintelligence?
It was me. I wrote that.
Yeah, he has like a Dutch name and he Americanized it. Blah 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 blah. I can't remember, but that's a book that's very much from the opposite school. It's like we're all doomed, you know.
Yeah. You know, we have superintelligences. They exist now. The thing is that what AI does is it gets good at recognizing patterns. What AI is very bad at right now, and we don't know how to fix, from my understanding, is that it's very bad at applying logic to those patterns. Meaning, like, if you show AI 4 pictures of cats sitting and then a picture of a cat playing with the ball, the AI doesn't know what the fuck that 5th picture is.
Yeah.
And like, that's a very simplified version. But someone was talking about koalas the other day, and koalas are fantastically stupid animals, and yet still more complex than AI. And because of the way koalas' brains work, if you take a piece of eucalyptus and you put it on a plate in front of the koala has no fucking idea what to do with that.
Well, in fairness, neither would I.
Well, yeah, but you don't live off a poison plant. Only that poison. No, the plant you live on is not poisonous.
Yes,
remind me to tell you a story about that specifically after this show, where no one can get arrested. So I have some stuff over there under Charles. You can see. I'm not going to talk much about Ghost of the Machine because I frankly, like, as much as I love it, I'm not an expert. What I will talk about is both the Martian Priesthood and War Machine, 2 war games. Now, War Machine, you have, you know, it's steampunk fantasy, right? Like the giant war mechs in that game have boilers inside them. They're literally steam powered.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They look really rad. I'm also eating candy.
Steampunk is a genre that, like, I dearly want to know more about and have. I mean, I've watched Steam Boy and I've, you know, your basic shit like that. But like I would like to learn more about it. So probably after this show, I'm gonna go Google up what I should be watching and reading and so forth. But
Cool.
yeah,
So the Warjacks in Iron Kingdoms, which is War Machine, they're machines. They're machines that have arcane cortexes.
didn't you bring? Aren't there miniatures of this? And don't you own some of them?
I don't own many of the War Machine miniatures anymore. I used to. When I was in college, I had a pretty massive War Machine army.
Okay. I thought I remember us sharing like a photo of some
yeah,
little
of my
robot
like
guys.
silver, black, and red
Right.
Menoth force, my death metal force. Yeah, I don't have those. I sold those on eBay actually
Oh
because
shit!
I was really proud of the paint job, and I was like, I need money
Yeah.
very badly.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
the thing that's interesting about these Warjacks is they're inert completely until you put steam in them, and
Mhm.
then a specific kind of magic user called a warcaster has to activate the arcane cortex, and this is all fine and good, right? This is a war game, so that's kind of where it goes. As they built it, they decided it would be an interesting add-on rule, optional rule, would be the more a warcaster uses a warjack, that warjack can develop a personality that is sometimes separate even to its warcaster.
I love it.
So they grow
That's
ornery. They may really love to hunt certain things. I think one of the Menoth warjacks like just fucking super hate sorcerers, and so like gets bonuses when going after them, or gets penalties when not focusing on a magic caster, things like that.
That's fun. Yeah.
It is fun, and I was talking in one of the Morkaborg discords I'm in earlier today about how much
right there. That is one of the Morkborg discords I'm in. Jesus.
I feel like that's a very John Baltusberger sentence to say.
It very much is. Yeah.
Very on brand.
Yeah.
What about how much I enjoy it when war games and board games allow evolution between rounds or between games played even. It's a thing I'm a big fan of. So that was cool. Now, let's talk. I know you don't want to, Charles. I know I'm kind of dragging you kicking and screaming into it, but let's talk about Warhammer 40K.
My beloved Clifton Twain. Yeah. Let's do it.
So, in the year 3030, everybody wants to be a DJ. The year 3030, everybody wants to be a God damn it, Dell, you amazing musician.
Yeah.
Can this just be a Dell the Funky Homo Sapien like fan cast?
Yes, it can. Yes,
about theology and monsters.
We can do it. Yeah. Because I have already referenced both sides of the brain tonight. So, we're
awesome.
one up on that.
We're doing it. We're doing it, guys.
We are.
At some point, humanity's technology kind of takes off. Presumably under like some kind of priesthood.
They call it the Dark Age of technology.
No. This is before the Dark Ages.
Oh, okay.
Because at one point, humanity explodes outward. It's possible. Right. It's possible this is done under the Emperor before he is the Emperor, or rather, is done under the Emperor before he makes whatever deal he makes with Chaos.
Right. This is called the Dark Age of technology, not the Age of Strife. They refer to it as the Dark Age, even though it was the high point of technology, because this is when they create the Iron Men. And those fuck everybody up until they
make AI
terminated. Yeah.
They make AI. AI is strictly forbidden in 30K on because of something which happened. And I'm going to go ahead and assume it's Terminators. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's Skynet.
There's so much more scary than Terminators when you get to find. Anyway, this is interesting because it's one of many.
There is an Iron Man. there is an Iron Man that makes an appearance in, I think, the second Gaunt's Ghost book. It might be the first.
That's the one I was referring to. It's spooky. So like this is one of the things actually that 40K borrowed from Dune, and I don't think that's like stealing. I think influences is different. But in Dune, the reason that they don't have computers or whatever, they use like mentats and what do you call them, navigators and shit, is because there was like a war between the machines and the humans in that as well. And Brian Herbert wrote a bunch of books about it, and they were terrible. It's just kind of referenced in Frank Herbert's stuff, like that time that we had computers and they almost killed us all after enslaving us. And so they've like banned it the same way they did in 40K. Thou shalt not make a machine in the image of a blah blah blah
that has a penis. So basically what happens is humanity explodes outward, conquers most of the Milky Way galaxy, or at least settles most of the Milky Way galaxy. Humanity's relationship with the other Xenos at this point, we don't really know, although I bet it's not super positive. It probably isn't like it is in 30K.
It depends on where, because there were the Interrex, remember? Like,
well, that's my point, is that like there's like by the time we hit 30K, which is where we have most of our information from, right? The Eldar despise humans, call them monkeys.
Yep, monkey.
Yeah. But by the time the Dark Age of Technology, when humanity exploded out, and I thought the Dark Age of Technology was during like the chaos storms that covered everything.
No, that's the Age of Strife.
See, okay, and here's the fun thing:
the rise of the Psychers and the warp storms and all that.
See, because what cleared away those warp storms was sex. Anyway, humanity conquers, then something happens. That something is probably chaos, but it could have also been the death of the original fourth Chaos God. Don't exactly know. Point is, humanity is cut off from one another, and more specifically, humanity is cut off from any interplanetary travel, even within like the solar system.
Not even to the moon for a lot of the time.
Not even to the moon,
because they developed that weird lunar priesthood that's all into genetics and shit.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is the immediate planets around Earth had kind of these cults. They were essentially fiefdoms, because remember, the Earth gets split into essentially a warring era of Japan style thing.
Warlords, warring warlords. Like,
the important thing though is happening on Mars,
swaths of land.
The only people still paying attention to technology are the Martians. The Martian Priesthood. They worship technology. It becomes a sacred thing. And like anything, when you decide it's sacred, you can't look into it anymore. The Martian Priesthood is this really interesting thing in that they at once revere technology and understanding and exploration and discovery, but under such extreme regulation. Basically, they don't want to discover anything new. They only want to discover things from humanity's past.
Well, part of that is because even the so like a fascinating example is the character in 30K, Arkan Land, who is like they call him a archaeologist or techno-archaeologist or something, and his job is to dig up like shit from the Dark Age of Technology, which remember was actually like the high point of technology. And so he's created a couple things, but he's mostly famous for discovering shit left over from like
STCs.
Yes, exactly. From when like people were more advanced. Now, this is an interesting thing. I don't want to give the game away, but there are some very troubling views of like how history works in my good friend Clefton in Warhammer 30 and 40K. And one of those is like let's just call it the Borean myth, the idea that there was like at one time in the lost and distant past a golden age that was much better than these days, and
Right.
like it's come crashing down, but it'll rise again because history is a cycle. Like that is like central to Hinduism. It's also like weirdly related to fascism, and as we know, 40K has something of a fraught relationship with that
Actually,
particular
interesting
subject.
story I note on that. Fairly recently at a 40K like event tournament, a Nazi showed up,
I think I heard about this.
and everyone refused to play with him.
Right.
Organizers tried to kick him out, and he was like, "No, I'll call the cops."
For
And then
what?
40K released a statement was like, "Hey, you can fuck off. The
Yeah.
Imperium is based off hate. We
Yeah.
are not, and you are not welcome."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, Charles, you said you were going to let me cover this,
Ah, sorry.
sir. Because I don't want to talk about the priesthood, actually.
All right. Okay.
But a basic understanding of the priesthood is kind of important to what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So the priesthood doesn't do new shit. They follow extremely stringent rules. Like they're the Hasids of technology. With probably
Even
like 600.
even fixing a tank or whatever, there's like incense and weird
Yeah,
shit,
like you
like
probably need like
enchanted oil.
613 million different rules for
Yeah.
everything. It's very strict. So now we get to what I actually want to talk about: the machine spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a few ways to read this, and they're all real fun. Every machine, from a mechanical pencil to the massive warships
Mm-hmm.
that are the size of small planets that prowl the
Mm-hmm.
Imperium, have a machine spirit, a soul, a personality. Maybe. So most of the time, when you have a guardsman like, okay, I need to pray to my gun and rub sacred oil on its locking mechanism, and then the machine spirit will unlock.
Yeah.
Probably bullshit. But like in the books, you definitely have like people, especially like with ships and with like they're
Titans and
called the
knights.
they're called Titans and Knights, but they're essentially giant mechs.
Mm-hmm.
It'll say
Mm-hmm.
like they're trying to turn left, but the machine spirit of the Titan wants to like charge into
It's
battle.
it's all fired up, and it would prefer to go like fuck somebody up. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are three there are three real fun theories as to like what these sentient things are. The first is that the Iron Men are not as gone as you might want them to be.
Ooh.
And that there is hints of scrap code within the new sphere of the Mechanicum that is
Wow.
self-replicating, mimetic, and infecting everything that the priesthood does. Possibly just like leftover scrap code that gives these vestiges of personality. Possibly sleeper cell scrap code that will eventually
Yeah.
turn on all of humanity at once.
Yeah. Maybe.
Another fun one is that they're demons.
That'd be Touch
Demons
of the
are in
warp.
everything anyway.
Little touch of the warp.
Little
Yeah.
touch of the warp. Specifically, Sneech.
Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah.
The changer.
Changer of
loves
ways.
loves
Yep.
intricate
Mutation and
mechanisms and
Yep.
would love all that stuff. And Slanesh, who loves perfection and the art of the machine, would benefit from this stuff. And basically, the idea is that whether the machine spirits are good, fighting for the Imperium, or evil, fighting for chaos, which, like, yeah, that's
Which
evil.
it
Yes.
is. They skin people. I was
Yeah.
like, well, then again, the Imperium used to when they
The Imperium still does.
yeah,
Like,
a lot of skinning in these.
I guarantee both the route and the scars skin
Oh, yeah.
people on the
Yeah.
rag.
Yeah.
And the Blood Angels definitely still drink blood.
Oh yeah, man.
And
Like,
everyone
wouldn't
eats
you?
brains. Like, that's an established thing. The Space Marines love eating. Okay, getting off topic.
Yeah.
So the idea is that, like, demons are not like hunky. Like, it's not like, oh, all the demons are together. So it makes sense that maybe a faction of demons, again, maybe demons that serve the dead god, would break apart and hide within the mechanics of humanity to strike back at their brethren.
It's happened before in one
Yes.
of the what's his name, Eisenhorn books.
Mm-hmm.
They come upon the tomb of a dead demon king who tried to take out one of the four,
Yep.
and got his ass kicked and got dead. And the demons fucking fled to the regular ass universe and like built a whole bunch of planets, and like
Yep.
that's fucked up and not supposed to happen. So it's
The
interesting.
last little bit that I think is probable is Necrons. So way back in the day, before even the Eldar, before even the Space Elves, there were Necrons. The Necron tier. They're kind of Egyptian themed, because racism, and like, well, call a spade a
Or
spade.
what Edward Ayub would call Orientalism, his famous book about Middle Eastern U.S. relations. But yeah,
So the Necron tier fought, like, they were having trouble with this enemy, and so they went to their gods called the Catan, and were like, hey, what if you gave us power and like helped us develop weapons and helped us overcome this stuff? They call it the War in Heaven.
I love it.
And the Catan were like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this, brother. They were voiced by Randy Savage. And
yeah.
about 75% of the way through this war, the Necrontyrs suddenly realized that they were now slaves and prisoners inside metal bodies and had lost all humanity and empathy and anything that made them remotely good. And they had become this like imperialistic force of death under the command of the Catan. So they said, fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. And they had a war against the Catan.
Nice. It is the War in Heaven. Yeah.
Yeah. And they won. They
Burned it to
shattered
the
their
ground,
gods
did they?
into pieces,
Shit, yeah.
stuck them in jars, essentially, and unleashed those shards of their gods for war. However, the Necron tier are intelligences trapped inside machines that are bent on domination and subjugation and turning anyone they meet into machines. And they're also very weak against psychers.
Oh,
Like,
that's
they hate psychers.
interesting.
And so this other race that they were doing war with was like, okay, what the fuck do we do? This force is ravaging us. Oh, I know. Let's give birth to an entire new species that's super psychic, and that is the birth of the Eldar race.
No
The
shit.
Eldar race was created to fight the threat of the Necron tier originally.
Wow.
Now, so that's a lot of backstory to say.
Right.
One of the gods of the Necron tier is a creature called the Void Dragon. It is the hyper intelligence behind all the technology. It is the mastermind, not the one who tricked them, not the one who like led the war, but the mastermind behind technology and trapping the Necron tier in bodies. It is a fan favorite, possibly confirmed rumor that the machine god that the Martian priesthood worships is in fact the Void Dragon. And
it could be
that this machine spirit is shards of this malevolent god. And that, my friends, is a really terrifying, like, 3 really bad, terrifying options for what the Ghost of the Machine could be in 40K.
It does leave out the role of the Emperor, which I found really interesting. Like, I thought that it was dope that in the book Mechanicum from Horus Heresy, you actually get to like see the Emperor's first contact with Mars.
You know what? That's
Where,
Graham McNeil, isn't it?
yeah, I think so.
I think that
And
might be his best book.
yeah, it's
Because it
damn
wasn't
good.
bad. It wasn't
Yeah.
bad, and Graham McNeil's books are usually bad.
Yeah, there are much worse. Anyway, but so the Martian priesthood has this machine god, and they believe that there is a Messiah coming who is like the perfect union between man and machine, the translation between the motive force and the earth, blah 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 blah, and the emperor like fits all these criteria, and the Martian priesthood as part of like this weird power sharing arrangement with the
Yeah, they're not technically part of the Imperium.
No, they're the only ones who aren't. Like, well, them and the rogue traders, but
Rogue traders are technically part of the Imperium. They just have letters of mark.
Yeah, they get to like bend the rules more
Yeah.
than most folks. But yeah, so they refer to the Emperor as the Omnissiah, which I thought was a dope ass. Like, they
It was a
have all
great
these
title.
great words like engine seer instead of engineer, and like that. It's just a wonderful blend of like mysticism and.
I
and
think
machinery.
that Ferrus
Yeah.
Manus would have been the Messiah if
You think,
if he
man?
hadn't been, if he hadn't gotten his head fucking cut off like a bitch.
Yeah, my favorite is not that Fulgrim cut his head off or brought his ass back to cloned life to play chess with him over and over and over. My favorite is about Ferrus Manus is that his skull wound up like essentially on the throne armrest of Horus, and like he'll just occasionally like drum his fingers on Ferrus Manus' skull, and like I'm like, that's your brother, dude. What the fuck, you know?
Like, even if the Emperor isn't your dad, and he's not, that's definitely your brother.
Definitely his brother, yeah. I think the Emperor had some sort of hand in their creation, but yeah, I don't think they're. I mean, it's pretty much confirmed at the point I'm at in the story that, like, although it's interesting, like I wonder why people never stop to question why they're called the Legiones Astarte. Like I did from the beginning. I was like, Ishtar's Legion, like what the fuck is that? And you find out that the Primarchs definitely have a mother, you know. Even if we're not sure who their father is.
So, fun story about that. The reason they're called the Legiones Astarte is because Games Workshop couldn't trademark Space Marine. Like, hand to God, that's the reason. Like, if they've worked some good lore,
right,
more power to them. But the reason was laws.
So I was talking to my friend Rami about this very thing the other day, and she said, like, you know, they just thought they were making like a game when they made it, and so a lot of stuff is, you know, like they had to backfill, and that's where like the people just built this towering epic like story. And but yeah, like they came up with a damn good retcon about why they're called that. There's some interesting retcons in just the Horus Heresy. Like I was rereading one just to like confirm some shit, and because I'm writing about this, and like the first time you meet the World Eaters, no nails, no butcher's nails. Like that must have been added after their first appearance in the books. And like it was fucked up to see them all rational and like, oh, they're just bloodthirsty or whatever in the first 3-4 books. And like, no, they're more than that. Like they've been, you know, surgically.
Well, they didn't have they didn't have the butcher's nails until, the butcher, the terrible thing about the butcher's nails is that they take time.
Well, yeah,
and
but
Angron didn't demand that everyone get it installed until after the I believe until after the Council of Nicaea.
No, incorrect. And the reason I know this is because I've read the Primarch novel Angron, Slave of New Syria. And that's where you get like Angron's backstory. And he very much did demand that, I mean, before Istvan, before any of that shit, before Nicaea. Like almost the first thing he did was because he couldn't like relate to his men. He had
Yeah.
no connection with them whatsoever. And so he was like, I demand you all get the butcher's nails. And like they killed a bunch of dudes trying to get a version that would work like on humans. And that's also where they learned that you cannot put them into a psyker, because what happens is like you lose a third of your ship when he just like immolates, you know. And yeah, like by the like Khan is the first one to take them, and it's like this is like right after they were renamed the World Eaters. They used to be like what, the War Hounds or something.
Yeah, the
and
Warhounds.
and they were basically just like Roman legionaries. Like they were, you know, boring ass Romans with like gladiuses and shit. And
I mean,
Angron,
all the legions were that. Essentially,
these guys especially.
all the legions were ultramarines up until they each met their Primarch.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. And I only know this because I I have an unhealthy fixation on 30K and more than 40K. But yeah, like they filled in a lot of Angron's story in that novel, and it might even be a novella. And that's the one where you learn that like Angron's primary characteristic is not he's pissed, like he is pissed all the time, but his like driving characteristic was that he was an abolitionist. Like he wanted to get rid of slavery on New Syria and kill the slave masters. And
Yeah,
then when he, you know, met the emperor, the first thing the emperor did was lock him in a cell and put chains on him. And he would turned against the emperor not because he supported Horus or loved chaos, but because like he fucking hated the way that the Imperium was run, which
yeah.
makes him like arguably the most moral of the Primarchs, you know. It's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I spent too much time thinking about this shit.
You know, there's problems with all of them,
Yeah,
but especially Angron,
yeah,
um, because by forcing his legion to get the nails,
yeah,
he enslaved them. He
yeah.
ignored their free will and
Yep.
decided that his perception, his needs, and his like, not even his want, like he just wanted, if he hurt, he wanted them to hurt too, and he
Yeah,
lashed out at them
exactly.
because of what the emperor did. Like he's
Yeah,
like, fuck him too. Fuck
yeah,
all of
yeah.
them. Like,
Fuck all of them. Yeah, yeah,
other than my good boy Vulcan.
yeah. Vulcan's pretty dope. I
Yeah,
wish there
Vulcan.
was more. Well, I don't know. You get like
I wish he
I haven't
wasn't
read.
quite such a pointy ear racist, but you
Yeah.
know,
I haven't read the Vulcan Primarch novel yet. I think that's probably next on my list because I'd love to. A lot of these books take place before the Primarch meets the Emperor, and
yeah.
that's cool because like seeing what they thought they were up to before they got their like big purpose or whatever is kind of fun. You find out that Perturabo has never had a good reason to be such a whiny, sullen like dick. It's just that, you know, he's always been that way. uh,
I am also that way.
Whiny, sullen. I don't think you're those things. You're
I'm
Larry
definitely
What's
those
his nuts,
things.
right?
What? I'm
I said
Larry
you're
Gibson.
Larry
That's
What's
right. I'm
yeah,
Larry
that's right.
Gibson. Hi, kids. I'm Larry Gibson.
Speaking of Gibson, though, as we close this out, as I'm sure we're at our time marker, William Gibson, weirdly, you were talking about AI and pattern recognition and like processing beyond mere pattern recognition. And like my favorite William Gibson book, like, is not Neuromancer, even though I have like the signed collector. Anyway, it's a book he wrote called Pattern Recognition. That's all about that exact question of like, and in it, like, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but like, there's a mysterious like series of basically like video art installations that start appearing on the internet. And like the most popular theory, and the one that fuck it, the one that winds up being true, is that it's an AI like reaching out to try and make contact because it's finally become like self-aware, but the only way it can communicate is through like art, right? um and I thought that was like a cool concept, that the next step beyond mere pattern recognition is like art. Like, what do you make of those patterns, you know? Maybe that's where the real ghost in the machine in our brains is.
Nah. Um,
it's a soul.
nah, it's a soul. I don't know, man. I'm just a man that likes drinking hot sauce and eating Fruit Loops. Hey everyone, it is the fourth night of Hanukkah today.
Yeah.
Right now. When this goes live, hopefully tomorrow, if I'm not a jackass, on YouTube, we are currently running a special on godless.com.
It's a very special.
Yeah, it's a very special. The 8 Nights of Madness. If you go to godless.com and you click on the 8 Nights of Madness banner, you'll be taken to a collection of books from myself and madnessheart.press, where everything is 99 cents.
Every goddamn one of them. Yep.
Or less. Or less.
Yeah.
Everything from Madness.Heart Press and John Baldersberger is 99 cents or less right now. It's kind of mad. On top of that, if you buy something, which I hope you do, and you read that thing and you leave a review, you will be entered to win a drawing, a daily
1985 Camaro
of one of 2 books, actually. Sorry,
Okay.
2 books. You'll get a copy of our body horror trigger warning anthology, as well as another one of the Jewish books that we've put out. So if you're interested in that, please go to godless.com and pick up some books for real cheap, including Charles's book and my books. You can get them both right now, right there.
99 cents.
If you want to see the stuff that I've written that is not on Godless, or you want to look for it elsewhere, please go to www.kaijupoet.com. That's where you can find all of my books and all my trash, which is me.
I have a very special announcement tonight, which is that I signed the dotted line today with Raventail Publishing to my first multi-book deal. A 2-part book called Arcanum will be coming out. I'm not quite sure when. This is the one I've been referring to with illustrations by Astrid K. Mickelson. You can find her stuff on Instagram.com/taphony.jones, TAPHONIE.JONES. And or like, I don't know, I believe that she's commented on my own Instagram. Anyway, best place to find me is on Twitter at CR Bernard. You can also find this humble podcast on Twitter at WanMoncast, at WANMONCAST. And yeah, what the hell? Go to saltcitysinner.blogspot.com if you want to read my thoughts about all kinds of weird bullshit, ranging from horror movies to philosophy and how much German philosophy sucks and things like that, you know. So yeah,
Indeed.
Treat yourself.
On those notes, friends, thank you so much for joining us on this consensual journey we call Wandering Monster. My name is John Baldesberger.
I am Charles R. Bernard.
And we will be back next week. But until then, stay safe, but stay scared.